On the quiet edge of Eastern Europe, an operation began, one that has never been officially acknowledged. An operation where Israel's most secretive intelligence service used GPS technology to track and eliminate a dangerous terrorist network. The agency behind it was Mossad, known for precision, patience, and operations that leave almost no trace. For decades, they have operated in the shadows, striking only when success is nearly guaranteed. Their target was a man known only as the Falcon, a strategist, a planner, a ghost. He had survived multiple assassination attempts and constantly moved between countries. The Falcon trusted no one. He avoided phones, radios, and predictable routes. Tracking him using traditional surveillance had become impossible. But Mossad identified a weakness, something small, almost insignificant. The Falcon still relied on a trusted radio transmitter to communicate with his inner circle. That radio would become the key to everything. Inside a covert workshop, technicians began modifying an identical device. It looked the same. It felt the same. But inside, it carried something new. A GPS tracking module, small, silent, and nearly impossible to detect. Designed to transmit location data under the cover of radio noise. The device was programmed to stay inactive until the exact moment it was turned on. Mossad needed a way to place the device directly into the Falcon's hands. And for that, they turned to the black market. A middleman was identified, a supplier who regularly provided equipment to the network. He had no idea he was about to become part of an international intelligence operation. Through a front company, Mossad intercepted the shipment. The original device was replaced perfectly. The modified transmitter was sent forward, following the exact path it was always meant to take. For hours, nothing happened. Then suddenly, a signal appeared. The GPS tracker had activated. The device was finally in use. The signal began moving, slowly at first, then deeper into mountainous terrain. The route was complex, unpredictable. Whoever was carrying the device knew how to avoid surveillance. Then the signal stopped. A fixed location, far from any major road. An old Soviet-era facility, long forgotten, but now very much alive. Mossad analysts watched closely. Was this the final destination, or just another stop? The next day, the signal moved again. This time with purpose. The device was now heading toward a remote mountain pass, a location known to host temporary training camps. Satellite imagery confirmed unusual activity in the area. Structures hidden beneath camouflage. For the first time in years, Mossad had a real lead. A location, and possibly the man they had been hunting. The operation had entered its most critical phase. And from this point forward, there would be no second chances. Inside the operations center, agents gathered around a map. The location was remote, fortified, almost unreachable. But the GPS device had done its job. They now had coordinates accurate to within a few meters, something that had never before been possible against this network. But raw coordinates were not enough. The team needed to confirm the presence of the target, the Falcon. Hours passed as surveillance assets were redirected. Finally, a pattern appeared, a tent deep inside the camp, guarded more heavily than the others. This was his command tent, exactly where the GPS signal had settled. The Falcon wasn't alone. He had at least 30 fighters around him, disciplined, alert, heavily armed. A ground operation was out of the question. A firefight in those mountains would end in disaster. Instead, planners prepared a different solution, a precision strike, guided entirely by the hidden GPS transmitter. The idea was simple. Let the GPS beacon lead them straight to the exact tent, the exact chair, the exact man. Weather reports showed only a narrow 2-hour window with clear skies. If they missed it, the camp might relocate. At dawn, a special operations aircraft was prepared on a remote airstrip. No insignias, no markings, No official record. Inside, technicians calibrated a guidance system directly synced to the GPS signal inside the modified radio. Every adjustment had to be perfect. One incorrect measurement could cause a catastrophe. Back in the operations room, the signal from the transmitter pulsed steadily. The Falcon was still in the tent. Operatives watched in silence. All they could do now was wait and hope the signal held long enough. Then came the call. Window opening. Aircraft wheels up. The plane climbed to altitude, flying low to avoid radar detection. Every movement inside the cockpit was calm, controlled, rehearsed 1,000 times. The crew synced the weapon system to the signal. On the screen, a blinking dot marked the exact location of the Falcon. Back on the ground, the Falcon had no idea that his fate was sealed. He was reviewing maps, planning his next attack. He trusted his equipment. He trusted his camp. But the device beside him carried his own location, broadcasting it to the very people hunting him. High above the mountains, the aircraft leveled out. Inside, the crew stared at a small blinking signal, the hidden GPS beacon inside the radio. The camp below was invisible to the naked eye. But the transmitter saw everything. The targeting system locked onto the coordinates. No tent, no faces. Just numbers, cold, absolute, unmistakable. Target confirmed. The words echoed through the headset. On the ground, the Falcon leaned over his map again. He believed he was untouchable. He never noticed the faint beeping sound a modified radio made, a sound masked as simple static. In the operations center, analysts held their breath. If the device moved even a few meters, the whole strike would fail. But the signal stayed still. The Falcon was right where they needed him to be. Arming now. The aircraft's internal systems hummed as the guidance package came online. The crew double-checked everything. There was no room for mistakes. Not on this mission. At the same moment, below them, the Falcon stepped outside his tent, stretching, unaware that the sky above held his fate. The order came through the headset. Release. Execute. A silent object detached from the aircraft, guided not by cameras, not by pilots, but by the tiny GPS beacon hidden in the radio. It sliced through the air, curving based on coordinates fed from thousands of miles away. On the ground, the Falcon heard nothing. He didn't look up. He didn't have time. The strike hit the tent with surgical precision. One flash, then silence. The surrounding fighters panicked, scattering in every direction. No one understood what had happened. But the analysts knew. The signal was gone. The Falcon's beacon had gone dark, permanently. Inside the operations center, no one cheered. They simply watched the empty monitor, knowing a threat had ended. The aircraft turned away quietly, leaving no trace behind. No documents. No statements. No official acknowledgement. At the camp, the fighters searched for answers and for their leader. They found neither. The modified radio was never recovered. Its fragments were lost in the explosion that ended the operation. In the following weeks, the network the Falcon commanded collapsed. Cut off, leaderless, finished. To this day, no government officially confirms the mission. But those who study intelligence history know the signs. A single GPS signal, a single moment of opportunity, and a silent strike that changed everything.